The Galactic Combat Academy was always loud in the mornings. Metal boots on the floor, machines humming, and young cadets shouting at each other. But today, something different was happening. Every cadet was whispering about the new human girl who had arrived at dawn. Her name was Arya Kale. She walked into the training hall with calm steps, her eyes scanning the giant room filled with heavy alien weapons. Most new students looked nervous on their first day, but Arya didn't. She seemed quiet, focused, almost like she had come here for a reason she wasn't sharing. The alien cadets didn't stay quiet for long. "Look, a human," one of them laughed. "Humans can't even lift a blaster. How will she pass combat training? She can't grip anything with those small hands." Their voices echoed through the hall, but Arya didn't react. She simply stepped forward, waiting for instructions. Trainer Vorak, a tall half-cyborg instructor with glowing red lines running down his arms, stared at her for a long moment. He had trained warriors from over 50 planets. He had broken tougher students than steel. But something about Arya's calm eyes made him pause. "Cadets," Vorak announced, "today you will take the grip test." The grip test was a simple challenge. Pick up one of the Academy's heavy weapons and hold it steady for 5 seconds. Most cadets needed weeks of training before they could lift even the lightest one. Vorak pointed at the rack of weapons lined up against the wall. All of them looked like metal beasts, huge, cold, and dangerous. Cadets rushed forward, each grabbing a weapon and struggling to lift it. Some succeeded, some failed, and some pretended they weren't shaking. Arya stood still. Vorak turned to her. "Cadet Kale, step forward." The room fell silent. Every alien eye watched her. Arya walked to the weapon racks, but something strange happened. As she passed each weapon, small sparks of light flickered along their metal surfaces. She didn't seem to notice. A cadet whispered, "Why are the sensors reacting? She's not even touching them." Vorak frowned. He had never seen that before. "Choose one," he ordered. Arya looked at the weapons. She saw strange shapes, glowing energy cores, and alien markings she didn't understand. But then her eyes stopped at the largest weapon on the rack, a massive ion repeater, almost as tall as she was. The cadets burst into laughter. "She can't even lift that. Even my brother failed that one. She'll break her wrist." But Arya didn't care about the noise. Something inside her pushed her toward the ion repeater. She stepped forward and wrapped her fingers around the grip. The instant her skin touched the metal, the weapon hummed. A soft blue glow ran along its body like it had woken up from sleep. The room went silent. Every sensor in the hall lit up. Machines started beeping. A low vibration filled the air. Vorak took a step forward. "Impossible!" Arya felt the heavy weapon in her hands, but it didn't feel heavy to her. It felt warm, familiar, like her hand belonged there. She lifted it smoothly. No shaking, no fear, no hesitation. Cadets stared like they were watching a ghost. Even the strongest aliens had to use 2 hands to lift the ion repeater, but Arya was holding it with one. Vorak whispered under his breath, but Arya still heard him. "Only a human can fire like that." She didn't know what he meant, but before she could ask, the ion repeater responded again. A bright pulse of light burst from the weapon, shooting into the air and forming a strange symbol above her, like a mark from an ancient time. Cadets backed away. "What is that? Is she controlling it? Humans don't do this. They can't." Arya lowered the weapon, her heart beating fast, not from fear, but from something she couldn't explain. It felt like a memory she didn't remember, a connection she didn't understand. Vorak stared at her like he was seeing a legend come alive. "Cadet Kale, where did you learn this?" "I didn't," Arya said softly. "I've never touched this weapon before." Before Vorak could question her, alarms exploded across the academy. "Wee-oo! Wee-oo! Wee-oo!" Red lights flashed everywhere. A robotic voice announced through the speakers. "Warning! Unidentified craft entering restricted zone. All cadets stand by." The ground shook as something massive entered the academy airspace. Cadets ran to the windows and stared into the sky. A dark ship, shaped like an arrowhead, was descending through the clouds. No one recognized it. No one could identify its origin. But Arya felt something in her chest. A strange pull, like the ship was calling her. Vorik saw the fear in her eyes and stepped closer. "Cadet Kale," he said quietly. "That ship, it is searching for someone." Arya swallowed. "Who?" Vorik looked at the glowing ion repeater in her hand. "You," he whispered. "It's searching for you." The ship's engines roared. The academy trembled. And Arya knew her life was about to change forever. The alarm kept echoing through the academy as the dark ship descended from the clouds. Cadets rushed into formation, but not a single one could stop glancing at Arya. The ion repeater in her hands was still glowing softly, almost breathing with her heartbeat. Trainer Vorik tapped a command on his wrist screen. Security drones activated and surrounded the training hall. The walls shifted, metal panels closing the windows as the academy prepared for threat lockdown. But nothing felt normal. Not to Arya. Not to Vorik. Not to the cadets who had seen something impossible. Vorik faced the class. "All cadets stay inside this hall until further orders. No one leaves." Another cadet whispered, "What about her? The human girl. She made that weapon glow. No human can do that." Vorik ignored them and walked toward Arya. "Cadet Kale," he said calmly, "you are coming with me." Arya opened her mouth to speak, but he raised his metal hand. "Now." Vorik led her through a narrow corridor that opened into a scanning chamber. Bright lights flashed across her body, checking every part of her. The ion repeater had been taken away and sealed behind thick glass, but even behind the barrier, it continued to glow blue. Arya watched the weapon with confusion and fear. It was reacting to her. She didn't know why. She didn't want this kind of attention. Not on her first day, not ever. When the scan finished, two scientists entered. They were tall, thin aliens with large eyes that blinked too slowly. One of them said, "Her physical body is normal." The other answered, "Yes, but her neural signals are not." Arya frowned. "What does that mean?" The first scientist hesitated. "Your brain produced a pattern we have not recorded in over 300 years. Vorik folded his arms. He already knew the answer but stayed silent. Arya's voice trembled. "Is something wrong with me?" "No," the scientist said. "But something inside you has awakened." Arya stepped back. "Awakened? What are you talking about?" The scientists exchanged looks. Vorik stepped forward, his voice low. "Long before this academy existed, humans fought in the Great Star War. They did not fight with strength or size. They fought with something else." Arya shook her head. "Humans are weak compared to other species." "Yes," Vorik agreed. "Physically. But humans had a rare skill, something that made them feared." Arya's heart raced. "What skill?" "They could sync with weapons," Vorik said. "Not by force, not by power, but through a connection in their minds. A perfect link. We called them Trigger-born." Arya's eyes widened. "That sounds like a story." "It was not a story," Vorik said quietly. "It was real, and it disappeared after the war. No human has shown this connection for centuries." Arya suddenly felt cold. She didn't want to be special. She didn't want ancient secrets. She just wanted to train like everyone else. Before she could speak again, the floor vibrated. Dust fell from the ceiling. The dark ship had landed outside the academy. A voice crackled through the speakers. "Unknown vessel has breached perimeter. Drones destroyed. Incoming contact." Vorik's expression changed. This time he wasn't calm. "Cadet Kale," he said quickly, "listen to me. That ship did not come by accident. It came because you awakened the weapon." Arya felt her hands shaking. "But I didn't awaken anything. I just touched it." "That is the problem," Vorik replied. "Only a Trigger-born can activate an ancient weapon through instinct." The scientist beside them suddenly shouted, "Look!" They turned toward the sealed glass chamber. The ion repeater was glowing brighter, so bright that the blue light filled the entire room. Arya took a step closer, and the glow pulsed. Vorik whispered, "It responds to your presence." Arya whispered back, "Why me?" No one had an answer. Suddenly, The chamber lights shut off. The room went dark. Only the blue glow from the weapon shone through the shadows. A voice echoed through the academy corridors. A voice that did not belong to any cadet, trainer, or guard. Arya Kale, come outside. Her blood ran cold. Vorik stepped between her and the door. Do not move. The voice repeated, louder this time. You cannot hide. I came for you. The walls trembled again. The entire academy shook like something powerful had walked through the entrance. Metal doors hissed open. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Vorik drew his blaster. His cyborg eye glowed red. Stay behind me. Arya grabbed his arm. Who is it? Why are they calling me? Vorik's voice dropped to a growl. They should not know your name. No one should know. That means they were waiting for this moment. The footsteps stopped right outside the scanning chamber. The door slid open. A tall figure stepped inside, wearing dark armor marked with old human symbols. The armor was cracked, burnt, and ancient, like it had survived hundreds of battles. But the most shocking part, the figure was human. A real human. He removed his helmet, revealing tired eyes, a scarred face, and silver hair. Every scientist froze. Vorik lowered his weapon. Arya's breath caught in her throat. The man looked straight at her. I came from the old human fleet, he said. And I came for you. Arya didn't speak. He pointed at the glowing ion repeater. You are the Triggerborn. The last one. And without you, humanity will fall. Arya felt the floor tilt under her. The world suddenly felt too big, too fast, too dangerous. And the worst part? She knew he wasn't lying. The chamber felt small as the armored man stepped inside. His boots were heavy, leaving deep marks on the metal floor. The blue light from the ion repeater reflected off his cracked armor, making him look like a ghost from a forgotten war. Arya didn't move. Vorik didn't blink. The scientists didn't breathe. The man's eyes stayed on Arya. Calm, serious, almost sad. My name is Commander Ren Vale, he said. Captain of the First Human Fleet. Or what is left of it. Arya swallowed hard. The First Human Fleet? That fleet vanished 300 years ago. It's only history now. It didn't vanish, Ren said quietly. It was hunted. Vorik stepped forward, raising his arm, blocking Arya. State your purpose. Why are you here? Why are you calling her Triggerborn? Ren looked at Vorik, and for a moment, it seemed like two giants were facing each other. I am here, Ren said slowly, because the galaxy is waking up, and she is the key. Arya pointed to herself. Me? I just arrived today. Ren shook his head. No, you didn't just arrive. You were sent here. Hidden here. Waiting. Arya felt her throat tighten. Hidden? By who? That answer is not for this room, Ren said. But I can tell you this. Your birth wasn't normal. Someone protected you from the moment you opened your eyes. The chamber fell silent. Arya felt her heart beating in her ears. Vorik narrowed his eyes. Explain her connection to the ion repeater. Ren slowly walked toward the glass chamber. The weapon glowed brighter with every step he took, but when Arya stepped closer, the weapon pulsed like a heartbeat. Ren pointed at the glow. This reaction hasn't been seen since the Great Star War, he said. Long ago, humans learned to sync their minds with advanced weapons. Not through power, but through instinct. Arya shook her head. I don't have any special instinct. I don't even know how I lifted it. You didn't lift it, Ren corrected softly. It lifted with you. The weapon answered your touch. Only Triggerborn humans could do that. Arya stepped backward. But humans today can't do anything like this. We're normal. Ren stared at her with a strange sadness. That's what everyone wanted you to believe. They hid the truth. They erased it. But some humans were born different, carrying something old, something powerful. Vorik looked at Ren sharply. If she is Triggerborn, why has no record shown it? Why didn't she activate sooner? Because she wasn't ready, Ren replied. Her mind had to reach a certain point, and the Academy's ion repeater woke her instinct. Arya felt dizzy. This can't be real. But the glowing weapon behind the glass said otherwise. Before anyone could say more, the floor vibrated again. Boom. The chamber lights flickered. Boom. A scientist screamed. External walls breached. Something entered the academy. Ren's face hardened. They followed me. Vorek's voice became ice. Who? A deep, animal-like roar echoed down the hallway, loud enough to shake the air. Ren answered, The Zoran collectors. Vorek stiffened. They are ancient scavengers. They steal genetics from rare species. They hunt trigger-born humans, Ren said. They hunted my fleet for centuries. Arya's stomach twisted with fear. Why do they want me? Ren looked at her with heavy eyes. Because your ability can power the most dangerous weapon ever built. If they take you, the galaxy will fall. The hallway outside filled with shadows. Strange crawling sounds moved across the floor and walls. Metal claws scraped against the doors. The Zoran were here. Vorek pulled out 2 blasters, his cyborg eye glowing bright red. Cadet Kale, stay behind me. Ren stepped in front of both of them. No, he said. She stays behind me. Vorek glared. She is my cadet. Ren glared back. She is the last trigger-born. The tension lasted only a second, because the door exploded open. A massive creature crawled inside, covered in black armor and sharp bone plates. Its body moved like a twisted insect, but its eyes were bright red, locked directly on Arya. Arya gasped and stepped back. The creature hissed, sending drops of poison sizzling onto the floor. Ren drew a long blade from his back, an ancient human weapon glowing with blue energy. You will not take her, he growled. The creature lunged. Ren swung his blade, cutting through one of its arms. The creature screamed and hit the wall, tearing pipes and cables. Vorek fired blast after blast, hitting the creature's armor, pushing it back, but not stopping it. Arya, move, he yelled. Arya ran to the glass chamber. The ion repeater pulsed as if calling her. Open it, she shouted. Ren blocked another attack. She can't use it. She's not trained yet. Vorek shouted. She already used it better than anyone. Arya slammed her hand against the control panel. The chamber unlocked. The ion repeater slid forward, glowing brighter than ever. The creature screeched and charged toward her. Arya grabbed the weapon. For a moment, everything stopped. The world went silent. The blue glow wrapped around her hands, her arms, her chest, like light bonding to her heartbeat. Ren stared in shock. Vorek whispered, Impossible! The creature leaped through the air, claws open. Arya lifted the repeater. Her hand felt steady. Her mind felt clear. Her instinct took over. She fired. A burst of blue energy shot out, brighter than anything in the room. The creature was thrown backward, crashing through the hallway walls, leaving smoke and burning stone behind. Everyone stared at Arya. The hum of the weapon faded. Her hands stopped shaking. Ren spoke first, voice low and full of awe. You truly are trigger-born. Arya stood there breathing hard, the weapon glowing in her hands, and she finally understood. Her life would never be normal again. Smoke poured through the broken hallway as the creature's body slid to a stop. The academy alarms kept screaming, red lights flashing across every surface. Cadets ran past the doorway, shouting orders, but none dared enter the chamber. They had seen the blast. They had felt the shock wave. And in the center of the room stood Arya, the ion repeater glowing in her hands like a piece of living lightning. Commander Ren stared at her with wide eyes. Vorek's metal jaw tightened in disbelief. No human had fired that weapon for 300 years. No living being had fired it with such perfect control. But Arya didn't feel proud. She felt terrified. Her hands were numb. Her breathing was shaky. The blast she fired did not feel like something she chose. It felt like something inside her had simply awakened. Ren stepped closer. Arya, are you hurt? She shook her head. I don't know. I don't understand what just happened. Vorek examined her posture, the glow of the weapon, the steadiness of her grip. Her sync with the repeater is rising. There's no tremor, no delay. She is stabilizing. Arya whispered. I don't want to stabilize. I want to understand what I am. Ren opened his mouth to answer, but the floor shook again before he could speak. Boom, boom, boom. 3 more Zoran creatures crawled out of the smoke-filled hallway. These were bigger, armored, furious, and moving with frightening speed. One scientist screamed and ran. Another fainted. Vorik stepped in front of Arya, raising both blasters. Stay behind me. But Ren pulled her in the opposite direction. No. She stays behind me. Arya shouted. Stop arguing. Focus. The creatures charged. Vorik fired first, unleashing rapid blasts that hammered against the Zoran armor but barely slowed them down. The creatures kept coming, jumping across walls, crawling on ceilings, moving like shadows with claws. Ren drew his glowing blade again, sparks flying as he slashed the first creature's leg. The creature roared, grabbing Ren by the chest plate and throwing him across the room. He crashed into the metal wall and gasped for breath. Ren! Arya cried out. 2 creatures rushed straight at her. Arya lifted the ion repeater. Her body reacted before her mind did. She fired. 2 shots, perfectly curved, bending in the air like they had their own mind. The beam struck the creatures from behind, hitting their weak points. Both creatures fell instantly, their bodies smoking. Vorik froze mid-step. Ren stared in shock from the floor. Her shots, Vorik whispered. They changed direction. That's impossible, Ren breathed. Even Triggerborn couldn't do that without years of training. Arya didn't hear them. Her focus locked onto the 3rd creature, the largest one. It hissed, opening its mouth to reveal rows of venomous fangs. Arya aimed. The creature shot toward her like a bullet. Arya fired again. But nothing happened. The weapon flickered. The glow dimmed and sparked. It refused to shoot. Arya stepped back in fear. No, not now. Ren shouted, Your sync is unstable. Calm your mind. But the creature leaped, claws extended. Arya fell back, the weapon slipping from her hands. The creature lunged, and Vorik slammed into it, tackling the beast with his full cyborg strength. Metal claws ripped at his armor, sparks blowing across the floor. Vorik grunted in pain. Arya! Get up! Resync the weapon! Ren added. Breathe! Your mind controls the weapon, not the other way around. Arya forced herself up, grabbed the ion repeater, closed her eyes, and inhaled. The glow slowly returned, then grew brighter, then steadier. When she opened her eyes, the weapon hummed again, perfectly matched to her heartbeat. Vorik was pinned to the ground, the creature's claws inches from his face. Arya fired a single shot. The beam sliced through the air in a clean line, cutting the creature's arm off. It screamed and staggered back. Vorik shoved it off, rolling away. Arya fired again. 2 shots, then 3, each one bending in the air, hitting the creature's armored plates until its body finally collapsed with a heavy thud. Silence. Smoke drifted through the air. The emergency lights cast a red glow over the destroyed chamber, the broken walls, the fallen creatures, and Arya standing in the center, breathing hard. Ren slowly walked toward her, placing a hand on her shoulder. Arya Kale, you are more than Triggerborn. You are something rarer. She shook her head. I don't want to be rare. I want to be normal. You can't, Vorik said with a painful grin, wiping the blood from his face. Normal cadets don't move light with their hands. Arya clenched her jaw. Why can I do this? Why me? Ren looked toward the destroyed academy wall where more Zoran roars echoed in the distance. Because, he said quietly, you are the last hope of the human race. Arya stared at him, her heart pounding. Ren's voice dropped lower, filled with heavy truth. And the Zoran aren't the only ones who know it. Suddenly, alarms blared again. A hologram appeared in the air. Academy under full attack. Enemy forces surrounding all exits. Evacuate high-value targets. Vorik looked at Arya. Ren looked at Arya. Arya held the repeater tighter. She whispered, They're here for me. Ren nodded. Yes, and if they take you, humanity ends. Arya exhaled slowly. Then we fight. And the lights went out. Silence dropped over the ruined chamber like a heavy curtain. Only the faint hum of the Academy's distant generators reached Alex and Mira as they stood facing the half-broken stone wall. The strange hand-shaped symbol glowed faintly, pulsing like a slow heartbeat. Alex rubbed his wrist, still feeling the echo of that electric surge that had first shocked him days ago. It was the same energy, the same rhythm, the same pull. Mira stepped closer to the wall, her voice quiet. Alex, look at the edges. This symbol, it's not carved. It's burned in. Alex moved beside her. The stone wasn't chipped or scratched. It was melted, as if something impossibly hot had pressed a hand into it. The fingers were long, too long for any human. The palm was wide and curved. The proportions were wrong, alien. A cold breeze moved through the chamber, though there were no windows. Dust danced in the faint blue glow. Do you think the Academy knew? Alex whispered. Mira didn't answer at first. She stared at the symbol as if reading a language only she could see. They had to know. The files we found, the restricted zones, the old maps, they weren't protecting students. They were hiding this. Alex felt the hairs on his arms rise. Hiding what exactly? A faint crackling sound echoed from behind the wall, like bones shifting under pressure. Mira stepped back instantly. That's not normal, she said. The symbol pulsed brighter. Then the wall began to move. Stone scraped against stone as thin fractures spread outward from the glowing handprint. The cracks widened, bleeding a soft blue light. Alex grabbed Mira's arm and pulled her behind a fallen pillar. The stone surface peeled open like a door made from scales. Behind it was a hollow chamber, much deeper than the Academy's blueprints showed. The floor was covered not with stone, but with white shapes. Thousands of them. Bones. Long warped bones. Some curved like animal limbs, others straight like human forms but far larger. Skulls with twin ridges. Ribs shaped like spirals. Skeletons of creatures neither of them had ever seen in any textbook. Mira covered her mouth. This is a burial ground. Alex stared. Frozen. But why under a military academy? Why train people right above this? Before Mira could reply, the symbol flared again, and something else lit up inside the chamber. Lines of light ran through the bones, forming paths like veins. Several skeletons shifted slightly, as if reacting to the glow. A soft vibration filled the air, making the dust tremble around their boots. Mira whispered, "It's a resonance. The energy is waking something up." Alex felt a sharp pain shoot through his wrist, the same mark that had been burned into him during the test chamber accident. It glowed faintly under his skin. Mira grabbed his hand. "Alex, your mark. It's reacting to this place." "I know," he said quietly, fear tightening his chest. "I think it's connected." The vibration grew stronger. Bone fragments rolled across the floor. A long skeletal arm twitched. A ribcage lifted an inch as if something inside tried to breathe. Mira stepped back. "We need to leave. Now." But Alex didn't move. His eyes were locked on one of the larger skeletons. An enormous humanoid shape curled against the far wall. Its ribcage was wider than the Academy's training ring. Its skull had deep, shadowed eye sockets and two sharp ridges running down like horns. Something about it felt familiar. Not visually. He had never seen anything like it. But the energy he felt, the pull, the echo, it matched him. "Alex," Mira said, voice tight with fear. "We need to go. This place is waking up." He lifted a shaking hand toward the giant skeleton. "I think this is what chose me." Before Mira could drag him away, the giant skull's eye sockets flickered with pale blue light, like dying stars reigniting. The ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. Alex whispered, barely breathing, "Mira, it's not dead." The giant skeleton's hand twitched. Then another. Bones cracked, shifting into place like a creature remembering its shape after a long sleep. The chamber trembled as if something ancient, something powerful, was returning. And it was responding to Alex. The chamber shook harder. Loose stones rolled across the floor, and fine cracks zigzagged up the walls like lightning frozen in time. Mira grabbed Alex's arm, trying to pull him toward the exit, but he stood rooted to the ground, eyes locked on the giant skeleton that was slowly coming to life. The pale blue glow in its skull grew brighter, steady, focused. "Alex, move!" Mira shouted. The whole place could collapse. But Alex didn't hear her at first. A low, deep hum vibrated through his bones, matching the strange pulse in his wrist. It wasn't sound, it was a call. A recognition. A connection older than the academy, older than anything he had ever known. The giant skeleton moved again. One massive hand, stone-like and sharp, shifted forward, fingers curling with a slow scrape that echoed across the chamber. Bone dust fell in thick clouds. The long torso stretched, ribs spreading like wings. Mira pulled him harder. "Alex, it's waking up because of you." He finally tore his eyes away from the creature and stumbled back with her. But the moment he moved, the glow in his wrist flared bright, too bright to ignore. It sent a shock through the air, a ripple that struck the giant like a command. The creature froze. Silence. Then, with a low, resonant tremor, the giant lowered its head toward Alex, slowly, deliberately, as though bowing. Mira's breath caught. "It's responding to you. Like you're its signal." Alex shook his head, frightened. "I'm nobody. I don't even know what's happening." The giant shifted again, and suddenly a metallic clang echoed from beneath the bones. Something long buried slid out from the shadows, a massive staff-like object, shaped from dark stone and etched with the same glowing lines that marked Alex's wrist. The weapon rolled across the floor, stopping exactly at Alex's feet. Mira stared at it. "Why would it give that to you?" Alex knelt slowly, afraid to even touch it. But the moment his fingers brushed the surface, the staff flared with the same blue light. A wave of energy rushed through him, stronger than anything he had felt during the academy tests. The chamber reacted instantly. The bones around them rattled violently. Several smaller skeletons rose a few inches from the ground. The giant creature's body shifted upright, towering and immense. The entire room pulsed like a beating heart. Mira shouted over the shaking. "Alex, put it down." "I'm trying," he yelled back, but the staff clung to his hand like it was part of him. Then the giant spoke. Not with words, not with sound, but with a voice that crashed directly inside Alex's mind. Deep, ancient, broken but powerful. "At last, the heir returns." Alex gasped, clutching his head. Mira stepped in front of him, ready to defend him even against a monster made of bone. "What did it say?" she demanded. Alex swallowed hard. "It called me the heir." Mira stared at him as though the ground beneath them had vanished. "Alex, heir of what?" Before he could answer, the giant's bones shifted and locked into place with a final thunderous crack. It kneeled, one massive hand bracing the floor, its glowing eyes fixed only on Alex. A sharp gust of wind shot through the chamber, pulling dust into swirling patterns. The energy hummed like a distant storm. The creature's voice filled Alex's mind again. "Danger comes. They hunt you. The others will wake." Alex's heartbeat thudded painfully. "They? Who is coming?" The giant raised its head, and the glow in its eyes dimmed, not in weakness, but in warning. "The ones who buried us." Mira looked at Alex, fear tightening her voice. "Alex, that means the academy knew. They didn't train soldiers. They trained weapons." The giant leaned closer, its presence overwhelming. "You must leave this place. Now." The chamber shook again, this time not from awakening bones, but from distant explosions above them. Dust rained from the ceiling in thick clouds. The academy was under attack. Or maybe, something inside the academy was trying to get in. Alex gripped the glowing staff, breath unsteady. "Mira, we need to run." She nodded, eyes wide. Behind them, the giant's final message echoed like a warning bell. "The war we failed to stop has returned, and you, heir, are the key to ending it." The ground kept shaking above them. Dust fell like rain as Alex and Mira sprinted toward the exit tunnels. Every step echoed with panic and rising danger. Behind them, the giant skeleton knelt in the chamber, its blue eyes dimming but never leaving Alex. The giant's last words repeated in Alex's mind like a warning he could not escape. "They hunt you. Leave this place. Mira grabbed Alex's arm as another explosion thundered overhead. Alex, someone is attacking the academy. We have to reach the surface before the whole place collapses. Alex tightened his grip on the glowing staff. It's not just an attack. The giant said the ones who buried them are coming back. Whoever they are. They knew I was here. Mira shook her head, confused and afraid. But why you? What makes you so important? Alex didn't answer. He couldn't. He didn't understand it himself. They reached a long metal corridor that led toward the academy vaults. Alarms blared on every speaker. Red emergency lights flashed like angry eyes. As they ran, they passed abandoned halls, fallen walls, and broken weapon racks. Then the floor trembled again. Hard. A blast door ahead ripped clean off its hinges and slid across the ground with a deafening scream of metal. Alex and Mira froze. Something was coming through. A dark shape stepped into the corridor. Oh. Armored. Silent. Its face was hidden behind a mask of black stone, carved with the same patterns Alex had seen on the ancient chamber. Mira whispered, That isn't from the academy. The creature lifted its head, sensing them. When its gaze locked on Alex, the glowing marks on Alex's wrist flared brighter than ever, so bright it burned. The creature hissed, a sharp, metallic sound. It's here for you, Mira said, voice shaking. Alex raised the ancient staff without thinking. The staff answered him instantly. The blue light flared like lightning, filling the corridor with a fierce glow that pushed the darkness back. The armored creature hesitated, then charged. Alex braced himself. He had no training for this, no experience in real combat. Yet when the creature leaped toward him, his body moved on its own. He swung the staff. A wave of blue energy blasted forward, hitting the creature like a storm. The force threw it backward, crashing it into a steel wall so hard the metal dented inward. Mira stared at Alex in pure shock. Alex, how did you do that? I don't know, he said, breathing hard. It's like the staff knows how to fight. It's showing me. The creature rose again, slower this time, damaged but not defeated. A deep growl rattled through its armor. Alex stepped in front of Mira. If it wants me, it's not getting you. The creature rushed forward again. Alex swung once more, sending another burst of energy that split the floor open beneath them. The creature fell into the crack just as the corridor ceiling collapsed. The whole academy groaned under the strain. Everything was falling apart. Mira grabbed his hand. We need to leave now. Together, they ran toward the emergency hangar. They slipped through smoke-filled halls until they reached the doors leading outside. Bright daylight cut through the dust. But the moment they stepped out, Alex froze. The sky above the academy was filled with dark shapes, ships unlike anything he had ever seen. Silent, cold, predatory. Hundreds of them. Mira whispered, Alex, this is an invasion. The staff glowed again, reacting to the ships as if calling out to them, or warning him. Alex turned to Mira, fear finally mixing with determination. This isn't the beginning of a war, he said quietly. It's the return of one that never ended. The ground shook again as the first enemy ship descended. Mira held her weapon. What do we do now? Alex looked at the ancient staff in his hand, feeling its power pulse with purpose. We run. We survive. And then... His eyes narrowed. We find out why I'm the heir. The sky darkened as the enemy ships opened their bays. A new war had arrived. And Alex was the key to all of it.